All right, hi everybody. We're getting towards the end here, and unlike most of the videos, we didn't actually leave with a bug. So we don't have any bug to fix. We're just going to go straight into the feature of what we're going to try to do, which is actually something I talked about in I think the first video, which was that when we're reading the level file, which is right here, we're doing some stuff that's convenient, specifically this, where we're reading line by line, but it's not necessarily the most efficient way to go about the whole thing. So we're going to fix that. And I'm not going to make the argument that what we're about to do is going to be the most efficient thing. I'm just going to make the argument that it is more efficient. And so what we're going to be doing is in this file right here. So we're still reading with an IF stream, and instead of just opening it with a regular, we're using iOS, which is an unfortunate acronym, just to be honest, because iOS you associate with like iPhones. But in this case, it's IO, so input output stream, and then we're going for a binary when we're opening it. So then what we do here is we open the file. This is going to be very similar to what we did before, right? We open the file, and in this case we're just using good, whatever. And then what we're doing is we're reading byte by byte. And so that's going to be the difference where we're going to be, instead of like making a vector of these characters and then filling in our bit representation, if you remember from before, we changed our Sokoban state over here to be a max width and a max height, and to be based on the number of bits in a byte, which is hard-coded. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use that, and instead of making this whole vector, which is right here, and using it to initialize the level right here, what we're going to do is we're going to update Sokoban init from level. It's going to take instead just the name of the file, and then it's going to read in byte by byte the level. When we get a new line, we'll increment the y in. If the line gets too large, in this case, either there's too many rows or too many columns based on max width and max height, then we'll just do an assert or something and we'll break. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Hopefully it's not too cumbersome. And yeah, let's just get started. So in terms of this, I'm going to start with Sokoban. And what I actually want is levels is made up of basic string chars. Is it just strings? Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Sokoban, header file. We have this init from level, and I'm going to change it so it no longer uses this. Instead, I'm going to make it so it takes a char const level path. So now I go to Sokoban C++. We're right here, right? Char const level path. And I'm going to fix this because this really shouldn't be named. So we're in here. That looks fine to me. And now we have a bunch of stuff. So let's start with just deleting. Well, actually, let's keep everything. We're definitely going to be using this big switch in a little bit, but first we need to actually make use of it. So what we're going to do is std : if stream file open level path, right? Then we're going to assert and then file.isOpen. If it's not open, let's just quit. And then what we're going to do, just so we don't forget, file.close. Again, this would be a great chance for like a defer keyword, because then we can just call file close and then keep going. But alas, it's not in the language. And so now what we can do is we can actually start reading it. So if you remember our temp, right? This is this. We need actually these 4 lines, now that I think about it. We have our char byte. And then what we can do is, let me actually do one other thing. point P, I think I'm okay with just point P is equal to 0, 0. That's what we want. And then what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of this. We're not going to use these directly, but we are going to use these. So let's take that. And yeah, so let's uncomment these. And now we need to go 2 back. So we do that. We're missing a bracket over here, I believe. Yeah, while, no. Let me fix this first. Oh, I see. It's this is what it is. So this will do like the case. I think this is like the way Casey Muratori likes to do switch statements. So we'll do it his way. And honestly, I used to like the extra tab indent for cases, but this is actually kind of clean looking, in all honesty. Okay, anyways, so what we need to do is we need to add an extra case where if case new line, right? Then we need to do p.y plus plus because we need a way for this to actually increment, and then we need to have a p.x is equal to 0. And then we need to break. Otherwise, in these cases, it's not ideal, but we can just do, so basically we're just going to have a bunch of plus plus x's here, or not plus plus, p.x, there it is. We're just going to have a bunch of these. It's not ideal, but it's okay. So we do that, and that's looking good. And now what's missing, and hopefully you're starting to see why I prefer this approach, because I think the code's just getting a lot cleaner because we're reading it as we go, so we're not doing these like extra like in between steps or like middleman steps, inefficiencies. So we have this p.x, p.x, p.x 0, so that I think that's good. I really don't like this assert false, but that's okay. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. Okay. So what I'm thinking about now is we need to handle the case basically where p.x or p.y is too large. So what we'll do is p.x is greater than or equal to max width. Assert p.y is greater than or equal to level.max height. Okay, so I don't know if that's going to work, but we're going to try that. Now we're going to take this, because that no longer belongs. We're going to add our log here. This is Sokoban. And this is a little bit, we can do that. I don't love the formatting of this. So let's try something like this. And that to me is a little bit better looking because now it's not such a long line. So that looks fine. The question is, will this work, right? Honestly, we're gonna find out. So I'm just gonna go line by line, right? This is just assert where we're checking the lines. Now we're just doing that a lot of times. We're doing it basically for every byte, which is a little inefficient. We could be a little bit smarter where we actually figure it out, but we'll come back to that in a second. What we're missing is we were setting state.rows somewhere. We were definitely setting state.rows, but let's get rid of this. Oh, we could do it like that. So rather than exiting, we can do app state. Do I not have app state? No, I don't have it. So we just exit now. And that's okay. We could return a Boolean for running to know that there was an error. Actually, yeah. I kind of like that. So Sokoban, C++. Oh, we want the other Sokoban. And we're going to return a bool if there was an error. So if there was an error, we can do return true. Otherwise, return false. And in this case, right, we could be a little bit smarter. If p.x is greater than or equal to, let's just keep the asserts. But if we wanted to make it a little cleaner exit, right, we could make these two an if statement, part of like an if statement, like and if either or, in this case, so if it'd be or, if p.x was greater than level.max width, or p.y was greater than or equal to level max width, we could return true and error. We should just do this. What am I doing? p.x is greater than or equal to level max width. If like the whole thing is, I keep saying like we care about the quality of the software and the user experience, like what am I doing? So we'll return true, we'll get rid of those, and then what we can do, log what is fatal? No, we want to do log error because it's still going to quit, but fatal means like we really can't do anything more, but we can do something a little bit more. We can actually handle this. And I think I deleted file.close. I definitely deleted file.close. We'll do file.close here too. This is why defer is so nice. In this case, so I think we actually need to do like an std format, unfortunately. So this is going to be the file name. Width equals, so we want to do like, yeah, width equals height equals limit exceeded. And then what we can do is we can pass in the info, so it's level path, p.x, p.y, and then we call .c stir. Sorry, I should make this a little bit bigger, shouldn't I? All right, so we'll call that here, right? And then we'll just do a new line there. And that's just a little bit better. We return true that there was an error and it didn't work. And then I guess we could even go a little bit further if we really wanted to. But I don't love that. This should be, now that we're looking at this, right? Log, this is also an error. Can I just, let's do plus byte. I don't think that works, yeah. Be nice though. Would be nice. Okay, so we do this. Unknown tile type, and then we also return true. That's fine. We're out of this. We return true, we return false. What we're not doing is in the level progression, right? We call this over here. And let me put in one more thing so I don't forget. Set state.rows, set state.columns, or whatever it is. Okay, so we need that. We need to get rid of all these. What I need before I do that is this line right here, right? So we actually know what we're leveling, what we're using. So now I'm good there. Doing this, doing that. I'm gonna take this and actually put it in right there. And it's just, oh no, it can't be app state. We can't do it there. Okay, so there's that. The problem now is that we think we're getting this. So const bool error is just a little bit long. So let's just do like if this, that. So let's see. So I think there's going to be a problem in this is a bool, Sokoban init from level, and then Sokoban C++, bool, we can get rid of the IO stream, which is nice. What's wrong? Let's just make and see what we get. So it's this. It's not the bool at all. Oops. Okay, so char const star const, and then if we go into here, did I mess up that? Oh, is it saying that I got it? So I think it just has to be like a like that, just for ease. And then let's see, levels. Oh, it's expecting a string. Oops, that's the problem. So we'll go back to this, keep that, and what it needs, C-stir, it needs that. So I'm going to change the name of it. We'll just keep this. This is probably fine. It's just a little bit long on the lines, but that's okay. So app state, game state. So if there was an error, we saw running is equal to false. No, it's not running anymore because we were a little bit smarter. If you recall, app state running this, and then we can just return because we're done. Well, actually it doesn't really, well no, I want to do it like this because I don't want to log this level progression go to game if there was an error. Okay, cool. So if we make it, let's see what we get. Fingers crossed that everything just works. Play, load it. Everything did not work, but you can see I beat the game in one move, and I was not even faster than a second, actually. So we'll try 2, 3. So that didn't work, which is okay. Let's go back into here. Let's figure out the issue. I want to say log debug, and let's do, and these are just going to be temps, so I'm not even going to like format them nicely. We'll do like this, and then what we'll call is p.x, p.y. And all we're trying to see is basically, do we actually log anything of? I ran it, yeah, we're good. So let's go to log.txt, and you can see that's working fine, but this is what I forgot to do. So let's do that. So I'm going to say at the end, if we want to be, I want to be a little bit lazy on this one. I am going to be a little bit lazy on this one. We know, yeah, so it's going to be state.rows is equal to p.y. We know that. State.columns is a little bit less clear without without basically either saying p.x is what it is, or we introduce some extra check. But I think I'm actually okay with just saying p. We don't have like a hard set, right? Unfortunately, where we guarantee anything. So instead of doing it like this, state.columns state.columns is equal to std : max state.columns and p.x. Now to make this work, this is going to be, what is this? Size t, and then this is going to be an integer, I think. So we'll cast it. To make this work, we need to make sure we're resetting state.columns before we do anything crazy. So now we can make it. Sokoban, and let's see if it works. You can see it's almost working. We're just missing 1, which is totally fine. We just do +1. Another way to do it, I think, another way to do it would be to do it like this. And then I think this will work. We can check real quick. We can just Sokoban, play, and then it shows up. But I personally prefer the, I like this. This is more explicit. Like this is the level the player sees. So +1, and then that works. So if we make it with our level version, which is not modified because it's not orange. So /Sokoban, we play, and now we're reading byte-by-byte. We can play a little bit, we can undo. Ooh. Okay, so we got a new bug. And what's good is that I saw it and it's recorded. Yeah, you see there it is. Okay. I'm not going to fix that in this video. I'm going to fix that in the next video because that's a really weird looking bug. But it's definitely, the problem is in our undo system. We made it a little bit too naive. So what we may end up doing, just to make it not super naive, is in Sokoban, we return a command, right? So while we're doing that, if we're moving the block, we can also keep not just the player direction, but we can, instead of doing move block, we can do something with actually storing the block's position that it went to and then moving the opposite of the player direction. So we may end up doing that, but that'll be in the next video. In this one, basically what we did was we took our level progression, which used to have like the whole implementation of reading in a level from, sorry, I was thinking about reformatting this, so like maybe like this, and then this, and then this. I think that's, I don't know, someone who knows C++ better probably would have a stronger opinion. Another solution would just be to get this and store it in the line above with a const, or to make this function a little shorter, but we're just going to use this. Anyhow, so we're going to fix whatever's wrong with our command pattern with the undo. We know how to replicate it. And then that's going to be in the next video. We'll also probably do compiler flags because this should be a relatively quick fix. But just as a quick overview of what we did, basically we did our temp.cpp where we're reading originally by line, and then using a stored version of the file to then read it into our like little byte representation. And then what we said is, let's read byte-by-byte. And in byte-by-byte, we, in my opinion, drastically reduced the actual amount of code. Like I think actually literally, like if I check like, I don't actually, if I like did that, that'd be a pain. But we reduced the amount of code, I'm pretty sure. We added some logging, which is not necessary there, but we also just made the code a lot cleaner. The only part that is a little bit unideal is this, but overall I would say the code quality is improved, and yeah, I think it's a lot better. So I'll see you in the next one with the bug fix and some compiler flags. And yeah, we're almost at the end here. So yeah, bye.